Hello and welcome to Business Today. I'm Siddharth Zarabi, and with me today, Campbell Wilson, the Chief Executive Officer and Managing Director of Air India, an airline that he's been going to the climb phase for the past 3 years. Campbell, welcome. Pleasure to be talking to you. 3 years of what is clearly a very ambitious project of the Tata Group. I want you to summarize for our viewers, how's it been so far?
Good morning, Siddharth. It's been the most exciting job in global aviation, I think, and it's certainly one of the largest opportunities. We embarked on this 5-year transformation program in 2022, shortly after the privatization. And for the last 3 years, really, we've been focusing on fixing the behind-the-scenes machinery that will allow for the future Air India. Most of that heavy lifting of the behind-the-scenes work has been done, merging of the 4 airlines to one group, 2 brands, replatforming the IT architecture, moving everyone into the same world-class premises, inducting more than 100 aircraft into the fleet, taking it from less than 100 to now more than 300, building training facilities, upskilling staff, all of the things that will go into the new Air India. For the next couple of years, the focus is very much on consistency of service and consistency of product. We already have some world-class product on display in terms of the A350 that now flies from Delhi to Heathrow and to New York. It is, I think, comparable with any top airline in the world. But clearly, we have still a large number of legacy aircraft that are yet to be upgraded. Domestically, on the narrow-body side, we're about 2/3 of the way through the upgradation process. We'll complete the fleet by the end of this year. On the wide-body side, we have about 40 aircraft to upgrade. That process is starting. The first of the 787s enters the hangar next month in July. And once that comes out, the prototype is certified, we'll be doing 2 or 3 aircraft a month, such that by 2027 or thereabouts, the entire Air India fleet will have been modernized to the standard of the A350. And I think we can declare that the transformation, at least the first part of the transformation into the new Air India, will have been done.
When I had last spoken to you and our reportage subsequently also, one of the issues that the airline faced, and it was not because of anything that you did, was the supply side disruption. For the benefit of our viewers, how much of an impact did that have, and have you fully mitigated it, or is there still some sort of cloud that you're facing on that side of business?
Well, we now have a lot more certainty than we did a couple of years ago. And just for the viewers, seats and engines and some other components were very badly affected during COVID, and it took a long time for the whole supply ecosystem to recover. As a consequence of that, there were delays to the seats that we had procured to enable the retrofit of aircraft, particularly first and business class seats. That delay has cost us between 1 and 2 years, depending on the aircraft type. So we would have been far more further down the path of the rehabilitation of our legacy aircraft than, unfortunately, we've been able to be. The good news is that the supply chain is now stable. It is accelerating. So we still have the initial delay, but at least we've got clarity and I think confidence that the timelines that we're now working towards should be pretty fixed. Similar with the aircraft delivery process, when we committed to the 470 aircraft purchase that we announced in early 2023, we were expecting a certain delivery schedule. That has been pushed back a little bit, about 6 months on average. So we're receiving aircraft a little bit later than we had hoped, but of course the aircraft will come. We are in the queue. It's just that we need to wait a little bit longer.
Has this had any impact on the financial projections and the kind of models that you had worked?
Yes, well, the fleet and therefore the network underpin the entire business. And so when there is a delay to the receipt of aircraft or the upgradation of aircraft and therefore the configuration of first and business class and the like, it does affect the business plan. But it's just part and parcel of the world. We have to adjust where external events cause us such impact. But I think the trajectory remains very strong. We're very confident that by the end of the transformation period of 5 years, we will have delivered on all metrics: operations stability, customer experience, and financial performance.
Since you spoke about the end of the 5-year transformation plan, what kind of market share are you currently working with? Is it as per earlier projections? Have you had occasion to kind of sort of scale it upwards? What's the status?
So domestically, Air India, pre-privatization, had a domestic market share of about 8-9%. With all of the consolidation and the ingestion of more than 100 aircraft and merger with the other airlines, we had brought that up to about 28-29%. We've subsequently taken some aircraft out of service for the purpose of refit and upgradation. So presently we're around 25-26%. And the aspiration for the 5-year transformation period was to get around about 30. So we're there or thereabouts. Obviously, market share is a function of the speed that everyone else is bringing aircraft into the market too, but there's been a very significant increase. On the metro markets, which are the main commercial cities of India, Delhi, Mumbai, Bangalore, and others, we have a 50% market share. And so I think we've been able to consolidate and strengthen our position in the key markets domestically and increasingly internationally.
Campbell, with a couple of new airports coming on ground, particularly in Mumbai and obviously sometime later in Jewar, what kind of impact do you see that for Air India? Because on the metro routes, I use them regularly. I think there's perhaps opportunity for you to scale up even further.
Well, absolutely. And we have very close and a good dialogue with the airport operators. We do intend to operate from Navi Mumbai. For us, it is a relatively complex transition because we are a hub carrier. We transport people into an airport and then disperse out through the rest of our network. So in moving some of our capacity from the existing Mumbai airport to Navi Mumbai, we want to take care not to destroy the effectiveness of the hub. So we're having those discussions internally as well as with the airport operators, and we'll make some announcements soon. But certainly it is our intention to have a presence at both of the main cities' new airports and continue to expand in other airports as well. So, for example, Air India Express has recently made a significant commencement of operations in Hindon Airport in the Delhi region.
In the future, what kind of mix do you see, and this is with regard to the government and the states intent to increase the number of airports? So you've seen the multiple rounds that have happened. Some airports have worked well, some perhaps need a bit more push. Broadly speaking, what would you like to see happen further when it comes to airport and airport infrastructure expansion in India?
Well, I think the number of airports increases by the day almost. And I think that's great because it gives the opportunity for air travel to so many more parts of the country and so many more segments of society. Our principal interest is the development of the big hubs for now, because we're largely an international operator. 65% of our capacity operates internationally. And so the continued development of the terminal infrastructure at Delhi, Mumbai, Bangalore, where we're committed to have significant hub operations, is important to us. And that also includes not just the physical infrastructure, but also the administrative infrastructure, border security, the ease of ingress and egress to the country, the use of technology, visas and the like. You know, we think that all of that, we can take a leaf out of how things are evolving overseas and apply the same learnings here so that India becomes very much competitive, not just as a place to travel to and from, but also as a place to travel through. The other piece of infrastructure that needs constant evolution everywhere, but including in India, is air navigation, because the sheer number of new aircraft that are going to be entering the ecosystem here is a step change from what has been the case in the past. And we need to make sure that the airspace is efficient, clearly that it's safe, and that it can accommodate many more aircraft than are presently flying.
Campbell, 65%, as you said, of your capacity operates on international routes, but we also have Indigo as India's largest domestic airline, now with an aggressive expansion plan on international routes. How do you view that from a competition point of view, and what does it mean for your operations?
Look, I think India, the size of the market, the growth rate of the market, it is natural and good that there's more than one large player, and that's both domestically and internationally. We want to bring more of the benefits of aviation into Indian soil. There's a huge multiplier effect from having a home domiciled airline employing crew, maintaining aircraft, supplying the ecosystem with tourists and making business connections. So we think it's good that there's more than one player performing that role. As pertains to competition, the fact that there's more than 200 airlines here for the IATA AGM attests to the competition that we as an international carrier face every single day and have done so for 92 years of our existence. So competition is good for the consumer. I think it's ultimately good for the industry. And I think bringing more of the benefit back onto Indian soil with strong Indian airlines, I think is good for India.
What about pricing ability? And we see what's happened to fares. There have been noises about fares, particularly on certain routes and obviously in the busy season. But for our consumers, many of whom and our viewers who choose Air India as their preferred carrier, what can you tell them about how fares are likely to climb or maybe remain flat in the near future?
I think if you look at the facts over the past 6 or 7 years, and IATA has produced some very good facts on this subject, airfares domestically have not kept pace with inflation. They have significantly lagged inflation over the past 7 years. Similarly, they've also lagged the movement in oil price, which means that in real terms, flying continues to get cheaper. And I think that also attests to the fact that it does remain a competitive ecosystem, notwithstanding that there has been some consolidation. Domestically is one story, internationally is another. I think perhaps Air India, in its old guise, was not really catering to a corporate market, for example. It was very much focused on a leisure traveller. But a carrier that's serving many of the key world's destinations non-stop from India is a natural choice for corporate travellers. And so as we have moved towards a different market segment with a higher quality product and a much higher service level, we are introducing airfares that attract the corporate customer. So whilst we'll continue to have very competitive airfares at the lower end of the market, we will also be introducing higher airfares at the upper end of the market, recognising that there is a whole new segment of the consumer that is now considering Air India when perhaps they didn't do so in the past.
A quick point on the domestic market preferences of consumers across various sectors. We've seen this sort of upscaling. So somebody had a small car moving to mid-size is moving to SUV. We've seen that in real estate and pretty many other sectors. Is that something that you've been observing as far as domestic travel preferences are concerned?
Yes, it is. And it's why when we are configuring our aircraft, we're ensuring that we have business class and also now increasingly premium economy class, recognizing that there is a upgradation of some people from economy to premium and then maybe ultimately to business. We have more than 110 aircraft in our full service fleet that operate a 2 or 3 class configuration, precisely because we believe that there's increasing affluence and there's increasing desire of a segment of society to travel with more comfort. Now, we continue to offer very, very competitive economy class fares, and we have Air India Express, which is very much focused on low-cost travel, making travel available to anyone, which we're expanding significantly so that we can cater to all segments of society and their preference for travel.
And therefore, the decision which happened earlier on to merge Vistara, that continues to pay, right, in terms of operations and operational efficiency?
Oh, very much. So in merging the 4 airlines together, we were able to take the best of the operating practices for each of those airlines and build it into the operating system of the new Air India. Vistara, being a younger airline, had the benefit of the youth and the learning that had accrued over many years. And it also had a lot of input from Singapore Airlines, which was a shareholder in that airline. And so in merging all of our airlines together and creating a new operating system, we've been able to bring that learning into the new Air India. And I think we're seeing the benefits of that. The first quarter that we have had since the merger took place in November, January through March, Air India set a record in terms of its own historical on-time performance target. It performed even better than Vistara had been achieving. On NPS, which is customer satisfaction, it achieved a record and performed even better than Vistara had been achieving. And for the current quarter, which commenced in April, on both on-time performance and on NPS, it has moved higher still. So I think the benefits of the merger, as well as all of the investments we've been making in systems, people, process, culture over the past few years, are now starting to manifest in what the customer experience is.
You spoke about corporate travel, and I come back to the international plans. Are there more destinations that you still want to add to? And on existing routes, is there more capacity that you think will be added on in the future?
Both. Our international network is 40 plus destinations. That is a fraction of ultimately what we think we can operate, because clearly India is a huge economy. It has huge business interests around the world. There's a huge diaspora. India is becoming more and more part of the global supply chain. The opportunities are immense. And it currently has relatively sparse international connectivity from a non-stop perspective. And not just from Delhi or Mumbai or Bangalore, there's many cities in India that warrant non-stop connectivity to key cities around the world. So we currently operate over 70 wide-body aircraft. We have about the same number again on order. It might not be the last order that we make for wide-body aircraft, because we see a huge opportunity for greater international connectivity.
How many more wide-body likely?
Well, time will tell.
And when will that time come? No, because the international market and point-to-point connectivity, you spoke about the diaspora, families. I know lots of people, including me, who want to send parents point-to-point. They don't want to go to a hub and, break journey. So I'm a believer really of that part of your business.
No, I completely agree. It's a massive untapped opportunity. And look, it's just connecting India to the world. The other opportunity is connecting the world through India, because we have a great geographic position, whether it's from Europe down to Australia or Southeast Asia, whether it's from Southeast Asia to Africa or the Middle East. Everyone flies over the top of India. Why should they not connect across India as opposed to somewhere else nearby? And by doing that, we make the domestic airline larger. We allow more spokes to be added to the network, more frequencies to be added to existing city pairs. We drive more employment in India, whether it be of crew, of ground staff, of engineers. We give people more choice to connect to businesses. There's a real multiplier and catalytic effect that brings. So the more that we can work together as airlines, airports, regulator, government, to make India the center of the aviation world, I think the better for India.
I've heard aviation ministers over the past 25 years keep talking about the fact that India should be a hub, and why do we lose traffic and revenue to nearby countries? Not just from an Air India perspective. I ask you this as a global airline executive with experience across other geographies. How far are we down that path, or the aim of having India become a significant hub rather than lose to other smaller hubs?
I think there's been very good progress. We haven't achieved all we need to achieve, but if you look at the key building blocks, one was, let's be honest, putting Air India into private hands. So it has the capital, it has the long-term strategic planning ability, and it has a profit motive such that it's not sort of destroying the profit pool of the domestic ecosystem. So with a privatized Air India, it allows for investment in fleet. Our competitor is also given the confidence to be able to do the same thing. So there's capacity expansion with aircraft. Airports, the large airports, have at least been put out to private concession. There's a lot of investment in terminals and customer experience. In terms of all of the other things that go around aviation, whether it be training facilities, whether it be training of pilots, whether it be maintenance and repair organization, there's a lot of investment being made in that, including very significantly by Air India. So now it's about, I think, awareness, customer experience, ensuring that visas are easy to get, ensuring that the customer experience, facial recognition is used for immigration and the like. Looking around the world at how other countries and airports and ecosystems are making their transit and hub proposition attractive, competitive, and desirable, and then importing some of that learning into how we do things here in India.
Since you spoke about customer experience, there was a phase till recently when the brand used to hit headlines for all the wrong news. But in terms of the customer experience, what would you say as the CEO with regard to certain complaints that one might hear about in terms of a bad incident of service or a broken seat or a faulty entertainment system? What would you tell your customers?
Look, when it comes to seats and entertainment systems, a lot of this is a function of the underinvestment in the product and maintenance over many, many years. The seats and the in-flight entertainment systems were obsolete. They're not made anymore, so getting spare parts is nigh impossible. And so that's why we had committed the $400 million to completely refit all these aircraft with new seats, entertainment systems. And unfortunately, why the supply chain delay has been so painful for us and obviously to the customer, because it hasn't happened as fast as we would like. As I say, the good news is that from a domestic perspective, 65% is done and the rest will be done by the end of the year. And from a wide body perspective, those aircraft are now going into their hangar, and the process of upgrading all of those aircraft will be complete by 2027. So what I would say to the customer is, I'm sorry it's taken so long. I'm equally frustrated. There's been a lot of investment and there are clear plans to resolve it. There is light at the end of the tunnel. And I think by 2027, as I say, people can see the new Air India on the A350 that's flying to London and New York. They love it. It has an NPS of over 60. And so that is what Air India is going to be consistently within just a couple of years.
Well, that's a good promise to make. And finally, as we wind down this conversation, what does it mean for you personally to lead an iconic brand? You've been here for 3 years now, and not just a growing market like India, but like you said at the start of our conversation, a 92-year-old brand. 2-3 years down the line, what would you hope to have achieved?
3 more years from now? Goodness, I would hope that we have turned Air India into the world-class global airline with an Indian heart that we set out to do. People are passionate about Air India, passionate for all sorts of reasons. People want to give opinions on how we're doing and what we could be doing differently or what we're doing well. And I think that just attests to the place that Air India has in the Indian heart. So many people had their first travel experience in Air India. And people wanted to succeed. People wanted to represent India in the contemporary way, in the way that India wants to be seen in the world. And so I think it's an absolute honor for me to be part of this process and turn a famous brand, a famous airline, into something that everyone is proud of once again.
Absolutely. And we wish you and your entire team all the very best as you go down that path and that aim of serving India and its flyers far, far better. Thanks very much for your time. With that, it's a wrap on this conversation. We'll come back with more. Until then, goodbye.
If you like the video, do like, comment, share and subscribe. If you like the video, do like, comment, share and subscribe.